Welcome to Wisconsin in Focus. I'm Bruce Walker, Great Lakes Regional Editor for the Center Square, and joining me today is the Center Square's Wisconsin correspondent, Benjamin Youn. Filed a story last Friday, but this is still quite relevant, and it resonates to this very day and will likely resonate well into the future about the University of Wisconsin is going to review the Supreme Court affirmative action ruling.
This was the big news right before the holiday weekend. The Supreme Court, in cases that dealt with both Harvard and the University of North Carolina, said you cannot use race to determine who gets in and who doesn't get into your schools. The consensus by the majority was that violates the Equal Protection Clause. 14th Amendment says the law applies to everybody. You don't get to say there's a law for white folks and there's a law for black folks. And it was originally intended post-Civil War to make sure that people actually enforced the law for black folks. Flash forward 2023, the court said you cannot have a separate set of admission standards for people who are black and then a separate set of admission standards for people who are white or Asian or Hispanic or Native American or whatever it is. The claim from the people who sued both at Harvard and North Carolina was that essentially race-based admissions, affirmative action, were hurting better qualified white and Asian students. The University of Wisconsin, almost as soon as the decision came down from the Supreme Court, issued a statement that said, one, they're reviewing what this means. Waiting for additional guidance was, I believe, part of the quote from the chancellor at UW-Madison. And two, they said that they still had the same dedication to diversity that they have always had. The University of Wisconsin system is 13 four-year campuses, all the way from Madison up to Superior, which is way up north. In practical terms, there is not a huge affirmative action program for most UW campuses. This is going to come down to the University of Wisconsin-Madison and probably UW-Milwaukee. Madison is, by the way, an elite public university and has no problem drawing interest from applicants from across the country and across the state of Wisconsin. We've talked about this here on the podcast. We've written several stories over at the Center Square about the enrollment numbers and how the University of Wisconsin-Madison really is one of the few standout campuses in the UW system. Others are losing students and losing money. But here's the quote from Jennifer Mnookin, who is the chancellor, the person in charge of the Madison campus. She wrote, "We've considered the race of applicants as one factor in a holistic admissions program that focuses first and foremost on candidates' academic strength. Our process looks at written statements, extracurriculars, recommendations, and the range of experiences, talents, backgrounds, and others that candidates will bring to the university. Every admitted student here at UW-Madison has demonstrated the potential for academic success within our competitive applicant pools," she wrote. "Though we have seen roughly 50% increase in our underrepresented undergraduate student population over the past 5 years, our current enrollment percentages of underrepresented students still lag behind many of our peers." In other words, the University of Wisconsin has been trying to get more underrepresented black and brown students on campus, and yet they still have more white students. That's a reflection of the demography of Wisconsin. It's a reflection of the demography of the United States. What this actually means, well, we don't know. Mnookin continued. "The full implications of the ruling, both nationally and on our campus, will not be known for some time. UW-Madison and the UW system is now carefully reviewing the court's opinions and monitoring the potential release of additional guidance from relevant federal agencies." In other words, they're waiting to see what the Department of Education, the Biden White House, and perhaps even the governor of the state of Wisconsin have to say about this.
So this is another case of sitting on one's hands and just waiting to see what happens in D.C. to see how it will eventually play out in Wisconsin.
I always talk about this in terms of covering the legislature. You're playing center field and you're waiting. The ball is hit and you got to take a beat on it and you got to wait. You got to see which way you're going to break. And then when it comes down, you run under it and you grab it like a can of corn. So this will, I can confidently say that this will not be the last affirmative action story that we write from the University of Wisconsin. Probably not even the last affirmative action story that we write from the University of Wisconsin this month. It certainly will not be the last that we write this year.
Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com. I'm Bruce Walker, Great Lakes Regional Editor for the Center Square. Please subscribe, and thank you for listening.